This is Nightline.
Tonight, a major setback for the Menendez brothers.
The court should deny the current habeas petition.
The stunning development putting the brakes on Eric and Lyle's hopes of leaving prison, where they've spent the last 3 decades for killing their parents.
Do you personally now believe that they were not sexually abused by at least Jose Menendez?
A key piece of new evidence contested, but could they still go free? Plus, accused healthcare CEO killer Luigi Mangione in court. A sea of supporters inside and outside court chanting and waving signs. Luigi! Why his legal team says he can't get a fair trial. And Benjamin Bratt.
You want to hug me. You want to smooch me.
25 years after Miss Congeniality.
There are 16-year-olds out there who go, oh my God, are you from Miss Congeniality?
The actor is back and teaming up with Boardwalk Empire's Gretchen Mol for a movie about marriage.
Are you really going to use any of this in your book?
You are dangerously close to becoming my favorite chapter.
It's never too late to make changes in your life.
What they say is the key to making their real-life relationships work.
I can't imagine a life without my wife and my children. They're the center of my universe.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Stephanie Ramos. Tonight, after 29 years into their life sentence, what seemed like a real path to freedom for Eric and Lyle Menendez now hitting a roadblock. Here's ABC's Matt Gutman.
Hopes crushed, at least for now, and a new roadblock on the Menendez brothers' road to freedom.
The court should deny the current habeas petition by the Menendez brothers.
The brothers were claiming that they did not get a fair trial or fair trials back in the 90s, and they've been denied over and over again. He wants them denied again.
The Los Angeles District Attorney Nathan Hochman says he will not support the brothers' attempt for a new trial based on new evidence that they say shows their father sexually abused them. It was one of only 3 possible paths to the brothers' release.
We believe it's inconceivable, as we've argued in our papers, and defies common sense, that if they had evidence that would show that sexual abuse had been communicated not just 6 years before the events, but 9 months before the 1989 killings, that it would absolutely have come out during one or both of their testimonies.
The brothers say years of sexual abuse by their father drove them to murder. And that question continues to be at the center of the case.
So having reviewed 50,000 pages of documents, etc., do you personally now believe that they were not sexually abused by at least Jose Menendez?
What I believe is that they testified to that sexual abuse. They absolutely testified to it in great detail. I also understand that when it came to any corroborating information about that sexual abuse, it was extremely lacking.
The brothers and their supporters were hoping that the DA was going to step in at this point and say, this evidence is so transformative that we're going to support the defense's motion. The DA is saying, I'm not going to go there.
The decision is ultimately up to a judge in just a few weeks' time. This is a discouraging development for Lyle and Eric Menendez, both sentenced to life behind bars without the possibility of parole for the shotgun murders of their parents. Especially after a year when so many watched or rewatched their story in the Netflix documentary and the scripted series, all of it rallying support for the brothers. And just 4 months ago, LA District Attorney George Gascon publicly called for their resentencing and release.
You are recommending that they be released essentially immediately.
I am recommending that they be released because I believe that the people that they were at age 19 and 21 is not the same people that we're seeing 35 years later.
I believe before Thanksgiving, they will be home.
But Gascon lost his seat in November, and when Hochman took office, he hit the brakes.
He doesn't believe the new evidence, and he doesn't think it's relevant. I believe it's very relevant, and I think it's powerful.
Robert Rand is a journalist and author who helped uncover the new evidence the brothers hoped would free them after 35 years of incarceration.
It's disappointing that D.A. Hochman doesn't believe, apparently, that Eric Lyle Menendez were molested.
Eric Menendez describing the terror he lives with behind bars to TMZ's podcast, Two Angry Men.
Prison was hard for me. I faced a lot of bullying and trauma. It was a dangerous environment, and I was picked on, bullied violently, and it was traumatic, and it was continual. And I was separated from Lyle, and I remember the day that I was told Lyle just got assaulted and got his jaw broken, and it was. I'm thinking, he's over there, I'm going through this over here, and at least we could protect each other maybe if we were together, but we were not even allowed to be together.
What's the problem? What's the problem? Someone killed my parents. Pardon me? Someone killed my parents.
It was from the jump one of the biggest cases in Los Angeles and in the country. No one could believe that these two young men had killed their parents this way.
It was a shocking Beverly Hills double murder. A prominent husband and wife gunned down by their own children in cold blood.
Entertainment executive Jose Menendez and his wife were slain in the family room of their Beverly Hills mansion.
Eric and Lyle Menendez, the sharp-jawed, brooding brothers.
There was something deeply evil about it that scared people.
I'm just a normal kid.
Oh, Eric, you're a normal kid who killed your parents.
Yeah, I know.
Remember, this was not a whodunit. This was why.
Physical, verbal, psychological, sexual abuse that went on for years.
Lyle and Eric Menendez are stone-cold murderers. Abuse does not justify a revenge killing. Never, 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 ever.
Now, in the eyes of many, the Menendez brothers have seemingly gone from public enemies to victims, all as a powerful movement builds online to set the brothers free.
5 to 10 years would have been enough. They didn't need to do life without parole. Getting all the love I feel for you.
Young people today want to stand up for victims of abuse.
Prison reform advocate Kim Kardashian and actor Rosie O'Donnell, who's friends with the brothers, are calling for their release.
They were not horrible kids. They were severely, sadistically tortured by a pedophile predator father and a very compliant and also involved mother who had no interest in them.
Did you think what was happening with you and your father was normal or abnormal?
I knew it was extremely abnormal, and I wasn't going to let anyone find out.
In their 1993 trial, allegations of sexual abuse by Jose laid bare in testimony. Abuse the brothers say their mother enabled.
I just told him that I didn't want to do this and that it hurt me. And he said that he didn't mean to hurt me. And he loved me.
The Menendez brothers' saga now being looked at through a contemporary lens and a trauma barely understood at the time that men could be sexually abused too.
I have always thought that if the Menendez brothers were the Menendez sisters, they'd be free today. Would have been convicted. But an abuse victim often gets some kind of clemency.
But some, like Alan Abramson, who covered the trial for the LA Times, still believe the brothers killed for money and that the jury got it right given the brothers' lavish spending spree.
The parents were sitting in the den watching TV. Did they have any weapons? No.
I thought that when Lyle described the killing of his mother, that a normal jury would find it reprehensible and convict him. We loved our mother. Oh yeah, really? You loved your mother? You blew her up?
Milton Anderson, an uncle of Eric and Lyle, previously said the brothers should not be released, saying in a statement, when Eric and Lyle Menendez executed their parents, Kitty and Jose Menendez, they not only cut short 2 lives, they also shattered an entire family, and that their motive was pure greed.
The question about whether or not the Menendez brothers should be free will ultimately be a court question.
Tonight, the Menendez family issuing a scathing statement calling Hochman's decision a disappointment, writing, "He is not just dismissing Eric and Lyle's experiences, he is silencing survivors everywhere who know what it's like to be disbelieved, ignored, and re-traumatized by a system designed to protect them." Hochman says he'll have more to say in the coming weeks as he considers whether to recommend any resentencing of the brothers.
Have you actually made a decision on resentencing yet?
No, we've not made a final decision on resentencing because not only are we considering all the trial information that we explained today, but we're going to put an overlay on the focus of rehabilitation.
There is still the possibility that the DA could support a motion to reduce their sentence. And that's always been their best hope.
And one thing he says he'll consider before next month's resentencing hearing, the Menendez family.
That certainly is a factor. It's a factor that we're obligated to consider. Ultimately, it's the judge that makes that final decision.
There's only one other route to freedom for the brothers, and that all depends on California's governor.
The one big unknown here is what Governor Gavin Newsom is going to do. The brothers have asked for clemency from the governor. The governor made a pretty quick decision a number of weeks ago saying he was not going to give them clemency. But he also left the door open to maybe down the road he would.
Our thanks to Matt. For much more on this story, watch Impact by Nightline's Menendez Brothers, Monsters or Victims, now streaming on Hulu. When we come back, accused CEO killer Luigi Mangione in court. Plus, we switch gears. Benjamin Bratt returns in a new film. Why the miscongeniality heartthrob says he knows a thing or two about how to make a marriage work. Welcome back, everyone. Among his many memorable characters, actor Benjamin Bratt won over hearts co-starring with Sandra Bullock. Now, he and Gretchen Mol are pairing up in a new drama where complicated relationships are on the line. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so before we get started to talk about Millers and marriage, do want to take a trip down memory lane really quickly with you, Benjamin. So, Miscongeniality, classic rom-com, one of my favorite movies. It debuted 25 years ago.
You want to hug me. You want to smooch me. You want to.
What do you think is it about this film that has transcended generations?
I think it's sort of, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and I think that remains timeless. I mean, it's eternally funny. There are 16-year-olds out there who still come up to me on the street and go, "Oh my God, are you from Miscongeniality?"
So Gretchen, let's talk about Millers and Marriage. Tell us about the film.
Well, it's three siblings, Juliana Margulies, myself, and Ed Burns, and we're all in various stages of difficulty in our relationships and kind of coming out the other side of raising children and having an empty nest and really asking about who we are. Have you given up your dreams? And in the case of my character, she kind of has sort of buried them, and then she meets this gentleman, and it kind of shines a light on a part of her that she kind of put away for a while.
I think it will have particular resonance with folks who are in middle age, who perhaps are empty nesters. We never really ponder what it's like when you get to this point where you are. And you can't really conceive of what that might be like until you're actually in it. It becomes really a kind of an existential exercise in coming up with that answer. Is the answer internal or is it external? Do you find satisfaction in relationships that are unhealthy? Do you stay with them because they're comfortable?
It can be very complicated, and we see that in the film. We actually have a clip. Let's go ahead and play it.
You know, I have to tell you, you did inspire me. You know, that day after we had the first interview, I went home and I just started writing. And I wrote the first song that I've written in years.
It's amazing. Good for you. See, I told you it's never too late.
It's never too late. Your on-screen relationship resembles an affair, yet audiences are rooting for the two of you. So how did you walk that fine line?
Well, it's interesting because she's, as viewers learn rather quickly, in a very dysfunctional relationship with an alcoholic husband who's not very supportive of her. And along comes this guy who, it does.
That helps your cause.
And along comes a guy who obviously is physically attracted to her, but he's also at the same time genuinely interested in who she is as a person, and in particular, who she is as an artist. I think that's what all of us out there really want, is this notion or understanding that there are people who really care about
that
us.
You're being seen.
That you're being
I think,
seen
too.
and heard.
And I have to say that that is something that you, Benjamin Bratt, brought to the character, that it didn't necessarily read that way on the page.
But Gretchen, I don't want to spoil this, but at the end of the film, your character and another female lead both pick themselves and their own future. What type of message is that sending to viewers?
I think that it's never too late to make changes in your life and to keep dreaming, keeping your dreams alive, which I think might sound a little bit corny, but you do get to different stages in your life where you think, okay, I laid down a certain track, and it's really scary sometimes to change that.
Has this film made you reevaluate your path, your life, or solidify the point that you're at in your lives?
It's really, for me, a comfort to live in a story that has real personal resonance. There are not enough films being made for people in their 50s and in their 60s. We live in a very youth-obsessed and work within a very youth-obsessed industry. And, for that alone, I think there is a whole slew of the population out there that will really appreciate the honesty of this film and the story that it tries to tell about our existence.
Both your characters may not be able to answer this, but what has been the key to a successful, happy marriage? Both of you have been married for decades. So what would you say has been that connection?
I think humility, that the only thing that's for sure is that nothing is for sure, so you don't take each other for granted.
If you're going to seek out a loving, romantic relationship, you have to do it with diligence and intentionality in your love communication. Devote yourself to open, honest dialogue, because what's undeniable is change will always come about. But you have to talk, you have to communicate.
Benjamin Bratt, Gretchen Mol, thank you both for joining us. Miller's in Marriage is now playing in theaters everywhere and on digital. When we come back, a story making big headlines. Luigi Mangione, accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, making his first court appearance in more than 2 months. Finally tonight, Luigi Mangione in court. Outside the courthouse in New York City, a crowd, many angry at the healthcare system, hoping to catch a glimpse of Mangione, accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
Stop denying!
Supporters packing the hallway outside the status hearing, where inside, Mangione, who has pled not guilty to all charges, wore a bulletproof vest, his bare ankles shackled above his loafers. Those images quickly going viral, but his attorney arguing the look will make it hard for him to get a fair trial.
He is being publicly treated as guilty and as having the presumption of guilt as opposed to the presumption of innocence.
That's Nightline. You can watch all of our full episodes on Hulu. We'll see you right back here at the same time on Monday. Thanks for staying up with us. Good night, America.